We condemn in the strongest possible terms this egregious display of hatred, bigotry, and violence on many sides.
His critics quick to pounce on that brief statement by President Trump on Saturday. Dr. Matt Wilson, a professor of political science at SMU. It was part what the president said and part what the president did not say. So what did he say that raised the hackles of his critics?
It was that phrase, on many sides, that I think was particularly offensive to some people because it suggested an equivalency between the actions of the white nationalists and the actions of Black Lives Matter and other counter-protesters. People can think whatever they want about Black Lives Matter, but they perceived President Trump as equating them with the Ku Klux Klan and neo-Nazis, and that was something that really rankled some people.
So once again, the White House press office had to come out and clarify what the president meant to say. This has been a continuing issue for this White House.
That's right. The normal pattern is that President Trump says something that appears to be kind of off the cuff, that is puzzling or to some people offensive, and then there's a cleanup operation as the clarification comes out from various associates of the president to say, well, the way this should be understood is X, Y, or Z. So yeah, it's very much a common.
What did the president leave out of the statement? The specific, I know that there's some in the white supremacist community, some of those outspoken leaders were thrilled that he did not specifically condemn them.
Right, and that was, to say the least, odd. That the violence, I mean, the really egregious violence, the murder that was perpetrated in Charlottesville was by someone who apparently had neo-Nazi white supremacist sympathies. So one would expect the president to specifically condemn that worldview and the associated hatred. That was never done, and so given that, I think that's what has been the source of the problem.
And thus, then the clarification by Vice President Mike Pence, who specifically did condemn those groups, by the White House that later did condemn those groups. But this was not an off-the-cuff remark by the president. This was scripted. He was reading it.
That's right. So he or someone had prepared that initial statement. And politically, I mean, this is a no-brainer. When you have a chance to position yourself opposite neo-Nazis, that's a political win.
And but his critics are saying, well, those are his constituents. Those people, many of those people, they certainly, sure as heck didn't vote for Hillary Clinton.
Sure, but I mean, the true hardcore far right, these kind of neo-Nazi white supremacist folks, that's a tiny, tiny segment of American society.
That's not the type that's going to put you in the White House.
Absolutely.
Or prevent
this
you
is
from,
politically not an important constituency. Condemning them is essentially costless, and it was strange that the president didn't take the first opportunity to do so.
Let's talk, if we could, about something else that is going on, which is the president's clout in Congress. He is now referring to Republicans. He attacked Mitch McConnell, the majority leader, who's going to be responsible for getting his agenda through the Senate or not.
Right.
He is now referring to Republicans in a lot of cases as them and they, not us and we.
That's right, and people have to remember that Donald Trump essentially is a man without a party. He came to politics without a strong track record as a Democrat, without a strong track record as a Republican. He has been a member of and given money to candidates of both parties over the years. His ideology doesn't line up neatly with either the left or the right. He is his own entity.
And we've got to talk about North Korea really quickly as we wrap things up here. Everybody, I mean, the Secretary of State still talking diplomacy. The Joint Chiefs of Staff saying, you know, we'll do what the president tells us to do, but we're not this close to war.
That's right. There's a lot of bluster, and of course, over the years, people have to remember we've seen a lot of bluster from North Korea. A lot of talk about fire and fury and blood, and nothing, thank God, has come of it to this point. Let's hope that that's the pattern that continues with bluster and posturing, but not actual military conflict.
Absolutely. Dr. Matt Wilson, thanks very much.
Thanks for having me.
Get back to work at school here pretty soon.
That's right.
Semester starting very soon.